Hi everyone. After making this video on the recent art material trade show, if you missed it, you may want to go watch that and come back and watch this one. I realized that many people really don't know how the art material industry works. So I'd like to pull back the curtain a little bit and show you how this impressive industry works. I hope this will help you make decisions on where and how to buy your art supplies. And this will ultimately help you. If you cherish your art supplies like I do, you might find this interesting. So let's talk art supplies. I am Mark and this is We Talk Art. I want to start out by saying I'm not going to chastise anybody for where they buy their art supplies from. Both my wife and I have purchased supplies online. Some products are hard to get in less populated regions, and I know prices matter. My goal is to give you information on how the industry works so that you can buy your art supplies with knowledge and intent. We all have different needs, and that is why we have so many options. It is just that I believe if more artists understood the industry that they depend on, they might be willing to make more purchase decisions that are better for that industry. In a world of mass production, fewer options, cheaper items, and more profit margins, the art material industry does it differently. And that is because artists need quality and options. Keep in mind, this industry and some of its manufacturers started doing this back before the Renaissance. And I can tell you that the love of art and passion about the materials are still alive in this industry. This industry is very much a part of art history and is still a part of making it now. You will probably hear me say this again, or already have. I believe that good art is an unique expression of your individual personal vision. To do this, you will curate a selection of art supplies that works for you, which will often be as unique as your art. I personally found that when I went from using what I had laying around to choosing tools and mediums that were made to do what I was trying to do, it made a huge difference in my work. For an industry to be able to meet this need, it has to be broad, creative, expansive, and innovative. Keep in mind that the demands of artists change and grow with trends in the art market, changes in taste, and changes in aesthetics. And the industry has kept up with that for centuries. Did you know that Sennelier developed the oil pastel for Pablo Picasso? To meet this demand, there are literally thousands of companies worldwide that make art supplies. I did back myself up on Google on that one. I was surprised it was that many. To make this broad range of art supplies available to all the creators, the modern art supply industry has built a model that involves manufacturing, distribution, and retail. Most small retailers could not effectively purchase from tens, let alone hundreds of manufacturers. It would be a logistic nightmare, further complicated by the very broad range of products an art supply store needs to carry to be relevant. The store my wife and I used to own, Nevada Fine Arts, has a very modest 5,000 square foot showroom and carried over 18,000 SKUs. Those are items. This is even more of a challenge when you think of the fact that art supply stores really stretch that 20-80 rule where 20% of the product sells 80% of the time to more like a 10-90. Titanium white is always the first to go no matter how much you buy. And despite that, you still need that weird color of mauve in the display rack even if you only might sell one a year. This is where distribution is invaluable. As a result, most art supply stores, including some of the big ones and even online, have to make a good part of their buying from distributors. And this model worked very well for years. Unfortunately, the model has been taking some hits and more recently some very big hits. If you've had a good eye, you may have seen it. Products being hard to get, even online, complete lines disappearing off store shelves, pricing going up, sometimes monthly. This trend probably started with online sales taking off 2 decades ago. This as a whole was not a completely bad thing for the industry, it just changed it, probably forcing brick and mortars to improve their business models, realizing that customer service and pricing were important. The second challenge was probably real estate. I can't tell you how many small art supply stores went out of business in this time due to not being able to afford their rent. A lot of people probably don't realize how tight the margins are for these small retailers, compounded by the amount of inventory that is necessary to have to be successful. Then came COVID. This was a real mixed bag. If you could open, doing curbside or such, and you could get your employees to come to work, People were making art. But for most of us, it required a huge change to our business model. This is when we saw price changes monthly instead of yearly to keep up with inflation. This too is really hard on retailers. Unfortunately, this trend did not completely go away when the threat of COVID decreased. More recently, tariffs, fuel costs are adding to the already strained pricing model, increasing costs that much of which can't be absorbed in retail levels gets passed on to the already struggling artists, you. We are empathetic to that. I'm empathetic to that. We are also seeing a lot of cheap knockoff brands flooding social media and often selling direct. These are not only disrupting the retail model, they are confusing consumers who can't judge the quality or value. Some of these companies may prove their quality, gain a following, and go into traditional channels, but again, it's really hard to tell. The most recent disruption, a lot of artists probably don't even know about it yet, might be the biggest one. The old model that I described a few minutes ago was fairly resilient. A lot of manufacturers selling through a variety of distributors and a lot of retailers could handle an amount of change. Online sales, even some stores shutting down, was not too major of a disruption. Yet, that model has been changing with more big box stores selling more of the percentage of art supplies. This is usually student grade or beginner products that had its pluses and minuses to the overall industry. The problem is when one major chain fails, it has a much larger impact on the industry than one or even a few independent stores shutting down. And this is what happened. Without naming names, a big box store that, among other things, sold art and craft supplies went out of business nearly overnight. Its failure, from most reports, was more big business doing big business things rather than business performance. Unfortunately, the business failed by owing many of the companies in the industry a lot of money. Remember, this follows a bunch of other hits, and the margins in the art supply industry are just not huge. This had a catastrophic effect of also taking down one of the biggest art material distributors in the United States, along with some craft distributors that got sucked into this black hole. This left many manufacturers that relied on the distribution without a way to get their products to US-based customers. This was most obvious with European and Asian manufacturers. In the trade show video I mentioned at the beginning, a few people asked me what the guy from Stabilo was talking about. It was this, that basically they lost their ability to sell to US markets overnight, as did a bunch of other manufacturers because of this huge distributor failing. I don't want to paint a picture that I am implying that the whole industry is fragile. Some of these companies have been around for hundreds of years, and I think will be around for hundreds more. Yet, the industry is changing, and some companies can adapt as necessary, and others can't. I just think it is important for artists to know what we buy and who we buy it from does make a difference in this small industry. I might be a little bit biased since I did own an art supply store, yet I am an artist that has and now again must buy my art supplies. What I would encourage you to do is, instead of looking for the cheapest price or product, think about the full value equation. You, of course, don't want to overpay for what you get. At the same time, what you get when you buy some things is often more value than that product alone. All the places you might buy your art supplies from present different value equations, and these can be complicated and different for different people. A professional artist probably does not need help selecting a product, where an amateur might benefit from that help. When buying some items like brushes, canvases, and paper, it might be very helpful to actually see and touch the item. Some items might have had rough handling, while others may have variations in manufacturing processes. Is the canvas stretch tight enough? Does the brush come to a nice point? Is the tooth on the surface suitable for my medium? These are all advantages of buying in a brick and mortar store. The other side of this is that some online retailers can provide you with more unusual products that may not be available locally for you, or provide you with bulk materials at a cheaper price. So each individual option will have different value equations, but it is helpful to look at the top level options and the value equations that are inherent to those models to make some buying decisions. So when we look at online, they may have the best pricing, but you may have to pay for shipping, and it may be in both directions if you have to return the product. Customer service may be good or bad, but it will be by phone, email, or chat. You can't look at the product before buying other than the product picture. You will have to wait for shipping and deal with shipping stuff. Some may find that the shopping experience is convenient if you know what you're looking for, but it may be frustrating if you if you're trying to find a product that meets a need or you just want to browse cool art supplies. Some of these retailers curate their offerings of things that they stand behind. Others will sell almost anything. Then you have the big box stores. This is kind of what started this problem. I'm not talking about the big chain art supply stores. The prices may be on the good side. Customer service will not be knowledgeable about the products they are selling. They will usually have a limited options. The products are often going to be selected based on margin rather than quality. And the shopping experience, well, you probably know the shopping experience. Art supply stores. Price will probably not be the best. Keep in mind that the stores have a much higher cost to doing business and provide other values. They may have very good, knowledgeable sales staff. Often will have a good range of curated products. Will have immediacy. You can get it now, no shipping hassles. Can have a nice shopping experience, allowing you to see, touch, feel, and browse the products. You don't have to pay shipping. Some good stores provide a sense of community, and although many online stores are now charging sales tax, you will pay sales tax in a store if your state has that. Each of these options have different value equations, and you should give credit where credit is due. I'm a big fan of supporting local art supply stores when I can. This is usually the best for the overall industry. I believe often they have the best value equation and help ensure that that resource will be available to you when you need it. Even if you made part of your purchasing from a local store, it does help. If you need to go online, there are differences there too. Art supply companies that are online are usually better suited to provide product and options that artists need and in a format that is easy to buy. The large sell-all online retailers are rarely going to give you the better value equation, even when they have better prices or shipping options. Perhaps you are agnostic about what tools or materials you use and assume that there will always be some brush or some paint available to you. But I think most of us will agree we benefit from having a healthy art supply industry. I would still argue who makes your art supplies makes a difference. To put another level of perspective on this industry, if you watch that trade show video I posted, even though that 150 or so companies is not the entire industry, it's still obvious that it shows that the overall industry is not huge. On several occasions, I was talking to the owner of the company. This is not like the tech industry where the owner is out on their yacht or in a spaceship or hiding in their mansion. They're working and selling products and promoting their company. Most of these companies are reasonably sized companies that are trying to take care of their employees and provide quality products. And many of the people who work for these companies have been with those companies for years. Part of what I like about going to these shows is that I meet very nice people, some of which I've known for decades or more. It is a nice, kind, humble industry that loves the artists that help support them. Some questions you might ask yourself when considering buying art supplies from a store, online or physical. Does the store provide what I need? Are the prices reasonable? Not the best, but good for what you get, the full value equation. Do I get good support, both from the store and the manufacturer? Would I care if this store closed? Would I care if I couldn't get this product anymore? Is this store an art supply store or is it a department store? There's a lot of reasons a business fails, and it can go well beyond whether they made a good product. But when you get a glimpse at the industry, it is hard to deny that the support of the customer contributes to retailers and product success. This is a small industry and individuals matter. There is little impact on a big manufacturer if you choose a Sony TV over a Samsung TV or an iPhone versus a Galaxy, but the art supply industry really does need and benefit from each of you creative people and your buying decisions. Its ability to supply the quality that is necessary to meet the needs of artists depends on people willing to pay for the quality and innovation. Even if you're looking for a beginner set of paints, buying this from an established artist paint company is supporting a company that you might be one day buying high quality pro paint from, and you are helping to ensure that they will be there to supply that for you. I know, in a world of huge corporations, mass production, and inexpensive low price options, this sounds counter to the norm. But art and art supplies are different. It is hard to source a rare mineral from South Asia, ship it to a manufacturing facility, grind it to just the right size, mix it with a high quality binder, put it into a tube, label it, send it to a retailer, knowing that you might only sell hundreds of them. That is the art material industry. That is also what artists expect. That level of commitment and quality takes support. As I always say, I'm not insisting you spend more than you can afford. I'm not insisting you buy more or higher quality items than you need. I just insist there is a value in buying from a store, online or brick and mortar, that sells art supplies from manufacturers that are known for making good art supplies. I feel like we all benefit from this relationship. If you have made it this far in this video, thank you for listening. It is a subject that I am somewhat passionate about, if you couldn't tell. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I do my best to look at and reply to all of them. Consider liking and subscribing. 2 more We Talk Art videos are going to come up on the screen that you can click on. Otherwise, go make some art.